For nearly a decade, I've always wanted to learn how to play guitar like that. I'd see these R&B guitarists, these gospel guitarists doing all these cool licks, these fills, these runs, these embellishments, and I'd think, yo, that sounds so cool. But how do I do that? Because I'm stuck here with... And I want to show off too. So of course you go onto YouTube and you type in how to play guitar like Jimi Hendrix. And then these videos pop up. Learn this one lick to sound like Jimi Hendrix. Learn this one fill to sound like Jimi Hendrix. Learn this one chord. Learn these 10 licks. 10 gospel licks you can add to your playing. Learn the cage system to sound like Jimi Hendrix. And it's like, bruv, I'm learning all these things to sound like Jimi Hendrix, but I sound like broken Hendrix. So what's the problem? The problem is this. You're not actually learning. You're just copying. By learning, I mean understanding the theory and concepts that might go into someone's playing style. Right? Most people don't do that. We're all stuck copying and repeating ideas from someone else. So when it's time to play guitar, we can only play what we've copied of someone else, right? But we all want to be able to express ourselves in our own way. And I think that should be the goal for every musician. So boom, in this video, I'm going to show you 3 concepts that I've learned of 3 different artists to help me do all the stuff you saw in that intro of them. The first song we're going to look at is Slow Dancing in a Burning Room by John Mayer. Oh, that's so beautiful. What I'm going to do is play the first 7 notes of Slow Dancing in a Burning Room, and then I'm going to show you how I look at songs personally to get the most out of them. So I'm not just copying ideas, but I'm taking what I've learned and applying it to my own playing. The tabs on the screen, this is what it sounds like. I'll play it again. Now if I didn't know any music theory, I'll just carry on with the rest of the song. However, since I know music theory, the first question I'm asking is, what key is this song in? I know it's in E major, so then my whole fretboard will be the E major scale to me, and this is how I'll see it. After that, I'm thinking, what's the first chord playing? I can see it's C sharp minor or D flat minor, whatever you want to call it. But that's on the 9th fret of the low E string. And within E major, I'm thinking this is the 6th chord, right? So now we're on the 6th chord. I'm thinking, what little ideas was John doing over it? He's doing this little thing. These are called thirds. You can put your 3rd finger on the 11th fret of the D string and your 1st finger on the 9th fret of the G string. And then 2nd finger on the 9th fret of the D string and 1st finger on the 8th fret of the G string. So my thumb's holding on that 6, the 6th chord, C sharp minor, and then on top of that I've got this. So now I'm thinking, whatever key I'm in, whatever song I'm playing, when I'm just jamming, or wherever I am, as long as I'm on that 6th chord, I could borrow this idea and do my own thing with it. I don't know, but you get the picture. You can take this one tiny simple idea, and because you know what it is now, you can move it in different places and do what you want with it. Let's do it somewhere else. I could do the same thing on the 5th fret of the low E string. I don't know, man, but you get the picture. Okay, so after that, it doesn't stop there. What else can we do with this? Since we know he's using thirds, he's doing a minor third and then a major third. Let's see where else we can play thirds. We can do one here. We can do one here. We can do a minor third here. Minor third. Minor third. Major third. Major third. I don't know. I think this is too far, but I'll do it anyway. Minor third. But we can go lower. We could play a third here. Major third. Minor third. Minor third. Major third. Now we have all these different places we can play these thirds. Let's experiment with playing the same song, but let's see what it sounds like with these different thirds, right? I could keep going, but you get the picture. Just by knowing a little bit of music theory, I can take this basic third idea and do what I want with it, and then apply it to different styles of music, different songs. But I can put it anywhere. This is what I mean by learning a song and not just copying it note for note. So let's expand it. Let's go back on the 9th fret of the low E string. We're on the 6th chord, and we can do John Mayer's idea again. Now I can move my thumb down to the 5th chord, which will be on the 7th fret of the low E string. And I can do the thirds again. Then I can move my thumb down to the 5th fret of the low E string, and this will be the 4th chord. I could do the thirds again. I could move my thumb down to the 4th fret of the low E string. Now we're on the 4th chord. I could do thirds again. Albeit that's a bit harder, I can't lie. But it's possible. I could go down to the 2nd fret of the low E string. Again, thirds. Obviously, you don't have to limit it to those two strings, D and G. You can move it to G and B, B and E, or A and D. What I would do to practice, I shouldn't say practice because I'm noodling half the time, but my noodling is equivalent to practice. I will go up and down the chords in a key, so like, with my thumb, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then while I'm playing those chords, I'll play the thirds on top. So I've got something like this. Then maybe back up. I'll make sure that my thumb's holding the bass note that I want. So as you can see, just with that little third idea, I did all of that. This is the power of music theory. Let's go on to the next one. 10 years ago, I was studying for my music GCSEs, and there was this one song I wanted to learn. It was called Can't Stop by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Now when I learned it, it sounded something like this. I think we can both agree that sounds terrible. So I learnt another version of it, which sounded like this. Now that sounds much better, but then I learnt that FRUSCIANTE, fun fact, we both have the same birthday, he plays it while strumming, bro. And to me, that was like world breaking. How can you strum and play notes at the same time? Fast forward 10 years later, it's easy for me, bro. Like, I've been practicing it for a while. But, you know, at the time, it was revolutionary. I'm like, damn. And also, you can kind of do lead guitar and rhythm at the same time, right? So how do we do this, bro? If you put your put your seventh finger. Which one will be your seventh finger? Like, would it be from that direction? Because that would be 7. Or would it be this one? Maybe if you're like Arabic, it would be this one because they read left to right. But if you're British or something, then it's this one because like we read But like then again, it could be this finger, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Anyways, put your first finger on the 7th fret of the A string. And what we're going to do, we're going to try and just get that note to ring out on its own. So these strings don't make a sound. So what you want to do is with the tip of your first finger, look carefully, I'm going to zoom in as well for you. The tip of my first finger is lightly going to touch the E string, so it doesn't make a sound. So again, if I don't put on the E string, it looks like this. If I put on the E string, it looks like that. I know they say use your fingertips for like pressing down on the strings, but here you can use more of this flat bit, so you can put more of the fingertip to mute the E string. So now we've got that. If you strum, the E string shouldn't make a sound. Nice. Make sure that the E string isn't under your nail as well. You want the fingertip to touch it. You don't want the whole string to go underneath your nail. Cool. After that, you want to make sure that the arch of your first finger, see all of this fleshy bit here, yeah? Make sure it's touching every other string. So the D string, the G string, the B string, and E string. So they don't make a sound. Don't press down too hard like you're barring, or else it's going to make a sound. Press down just enough so they don't make a sound. And make sure the E string's mute as well. So now we're just going to do a simple strumming pattern. Let's say we'll do it on the 7th fret, 5th fret, 2nd fret, then 3rd fret. And we've got this. Seven, 5, 2, 3. Practice that with what I've just shown you with your first finger only. Now the next thing you want to learn is kind of selectively strumming specific strings, because obviously if we put our first finger on the 7th fret of the G string, we can't I mean, you can if you use your thumb and stuff, but we can't really mute the E and A string, right? So you want to get good at like strumming different strings specifically. So if you put your first finger on the 7th fret of the G string, use the tip of your first finger to mute the 7th fret of the D string. Shouldn't say 7th fret of the D string, just the D string. And then use the arch again to mute the B and E string underneath. And then just practice going along that one string with your first finger only, making sure that you're strumming those strings only and the other strings aren't making a sound. And so on. You can practice down the other strings as well. Now another one, we need to get our thumb involved. So, what would be a good example? Put your thumb on the 7th fret of the E string. And then make sure your thumb's at an angle. It's not straight like this, but it's at an angle, pointing towards your left thigh. No, your right thigh, your right thigh. I think it'll be your left and my right. Yeah. Anyways, do that and make sure that that fleshy part of the top of your thumb is muting the A string. And then you can use your first finger to mute the other strings, the D, G, and B string. The D, G, B, and E string. Practice that. The fleshy part of your thumb is muting the A string and your first finger is muting the other strings. And maybe go across the E string. So those are the basics for muting with your first finger only, strumming selective strings, and selectively strumming strings, specific strings, and using your thumb to mute, right? So if you got your muting down and you know your thirds with that John Mayer stuff, that's when you can make some magic happen. And I promise you, if you get these 3 things down for muting, you can play Can't Stop pretty easily. At the start of this video, I mentioned that I've always wanted to learn how these gospel and R&B guitarists be doing all these cool embellishments with their chords. And the person that did it for me was Jimi Hendrix, because before him, I mean, I had this idea that chords were just this. But after learning a bit of Hendrix, sure, I can take that same D minor chord and do something like this. That was sick. That was sick. Anyways, I learned that of the song The Wind Cries Mary. Not all of that, obviously, but in the song he does this, yeah. It's a C, B flat, and then F progression. 5, 4, 1. So it's this little part here. Instead of playing the B flat chord like this, he does a lick, and then I was thinking, yo, why is this guy playing a lick instead of the chord? Like, isn't chords just strumming? But then I learned, yo, you don't have to always just strum a full chord. You can break the chord apart and play the scale around it to get something musical out of it, right? And then I thought, okay, they're all major chords, so let me see if that same lick works on each chord. The concept is this: don't see chords as chords and scales as scales, but you can intertwine the two and see them as one thing, yeah. And that was revolutionary for me, because as you can see with that John Mayer song we did earlier, even though my thumb is on the 6th chord in our key, C sharp minor, from my perspective, I'm thinking, yo, I can go here, I can go here, I can do this, I can do that, I can do thirds, I can do fourths, I can do fifths, I can do sixths, I can do octaves, right? I'm not limited in any way. Most guitar teachers on YouTube, they'll just say, yo, if it's a minor chord, use minor pentatonic to sound like Jimi Hendrix. And that's just part of the story, but you're really limiting yourself that way, and they won't show it as the full minor pentatonic across the fretboard. They'll just show it in one area. Like, to me, if I'm seeing pentatonics, yo, I see it like this. So regardless of where I'm at, I can see my pentatonic notes around my 6th, right? But here, I see it diatonically, so, you know, I can get some modal sounds as well. Aeolian breath. You know what I'm saying? What's that C with A1 one? There we go. That's it. But you've got all these options, right? So that's what I mean by seeing chords and scales as the same thing, because when you have one root note which will act as your chord, on top of that root note, if you know how to see the fretboard through pentatonics, diatonics, through the blues scale or whatever, you can add all those notes on top of it. If I'm on that 6, here's my blue note, 12th fret of the G string. And so on. That was a basic example, but you get the picture, and I'm still playing that same C sharp minor chord. Now, if you're interested in wasting time buying expensive courses, buying some, bro, I saw this on Instagram today, yeah, and I thought, bro, how are you taking it from $497 to $7? Like, surely it wasn't worth 400. You know what? I'm not even gonna throw shade. I'm not gonna throw shade. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But if you wanna actually learn how music theory can be applied on the guitar, so you can do the stuff that I can do and even better, then yo, come here, come here, come here. What you want to do is click this link here, and then click guitar lessons, and boom, you're in Guitar Alchemy, the best place to get online guitar lessons, bro. Why? Because we've got over 100 guitar lessons showing how to take someone that knows nothing about theory to this module I'm starting now, which is Hendrix flow. And here I will show you everything I know about the style of Jimi Hendrix and my own little additions to it. You know, all that neo soul jazzy type of cool legato stuff. But yeah, you know, you got to unlock the fretboard, harmonizing the major scale, how to construct chords, how to build songs, how to do modes, how to improvise, how to... that's a secret, bro. I don't want to spoil that. And yeah, chord library, bro. So yeah, feel free to join. We've got a Discord community that you can join and talk to other people on. And I do live calls at the end of each month, so you can ask me anything about guitar. I'll see you there. Bye-bye.